Hello, I'm Matt Hansen, student with Midland University's Master of Business Administration program. Today I'll be discussing with you 3 key takeaways from the Business Communications course. I'll begin by talking about how all of our business communications is essentially a form of selling. Then I'll move into some of the structural and mechanical aspects of business writing. And finally, I'll close with an email writing tip that I'll find useful, and I'm sure you will too. So to begin, first we learned about how essentially all of our business communications is a form of sales. We may not be selling a car or a house to someone, but Daniel Pink, the author of To Sell is Human, discussed how all of our communications is essentially trying to persuade or to influence someone to do something for you. That exchange is a form of sales. This idea has really made me step back and think about, am I really sending the messages in my communications that I need to be sending? I intend in my professional career to stop and think before I send or give communication to really make sure I'm selling the idea that I intend to sell. Secondly, some of the structural and mechanical aspects of business writing that we learned about include 2 key tips, takeaways for me. First is the idea to lead with your most important point first. To me, I'll be using this in my business communication email writing, where I'll actually begin my important writings with the conclusion at the beginning. This is different than leading into your conclusion at the end of your story. But by starting with my conclusion first in email writing, it saves the reader time and they can get to my point right from the beginning and then go back to supporting detail in the rest of the email later. The second idea that in structural and mechanical aspects is the concept of active voice versus passive voice. Passive voice may sound like closing documents were prepared by the auditors, whereas active voice will sound like auditors prepared the closing documents. This concept reduces your word count and creates a stronger sounding sentence. I'll have to be mindful of this in my business writing because it's not a concept that was familiar to me before this course. Finally, an email writing tip that I believe will be helpful for me is to pause before responding to an email. Some emails I may be able to answer quickly with a yes or a no answer or with information that's readily available. But for longer, important emails, it's important to take a pause, digest the information that you received, and generate a response that addresses all of the email that you received. Too often, we respond quickly to an email and only address part of the previous email, creating misunderstanding and misinterpretation. I'll think about this idea before I hit send on my emails in the future. So to summarize, we discussed 3 key concepts from this course that were takeaways for me. First, all of what we do in business communications is a form of selling. Second, we talked about some structural and mechanical aspects of business writing to lead with your most important point first, and the use of active voice compared to passive voice. And finally, an email tip to pause before responding. I hope you find these tips as helpful for you as they will be for me. Thank you.